We're gonna get started. Everybody, welcome back to Power 97.5 LA, iHeartRadio, iGlobal Media, all of the things. I'm so excited about this because when you think of written in color, that's exactly who he is and all of the things. I immediately was excited about this interview because I said I wanted to make sure that we created the conversation of creativity. And we're talking to somebody from Texas. And I love that a lot of people, this is season 5, oh my God, episode 316 of some sort. That's why I feel like I've been talking for so long. Um, but I'll take it. And I think of something that you wrote on your social media, and I want to start with this. The power of our voices unified is unmatched.
Mm,
Just a kid from Texas who went to Hollywood with a dream.
mm.
Everybody, we have founder of Written in Color, creator of this distinguished, say that real quick, the distinguished short,
The
the
distinguished.
distinguished. Everybody put your hands together for RD Castleberry is in the building.
Woo-hoo. Thanks
Oh,
for having me.
absolutely, absolutely. So, listen, I know that we may have some difficulties and all of the things, and I love it because that's what makes this entire show so real. Appreciate you. I have been asking this question a lot lately on red carpets and on interviews and things. I want to start with how is your heart?
Ooh, that
And
is
that's the response I get.
that right. Because I think right now, in an honest answer, it's heavy.
Mm,
Um, it's hopeful.
yeah.
But also at the same time, we're navigating uncharted territory, if that makes sense. I
Yeah,
feel like
absolutely.
there's a new rising, there's a new dawn that's happening, and it's like within that we have consumed so much in such a short period of time, and it's like we haven't been able to process
We haven't.
really anything because it's
We
like you get one thing, you're like, okay, and then you get the next thing, you're like, wait a
okay.
minute. And then you get the next, you're like, well, shit.
It's
So it's
like it's
like
the layered effects
it,
everywhere.
yeah, so it's just it's hard. So it's heavy. My heart is heavy, but it is hopeful. I think, with that, of course, being in Hollywood, I say this to a few of my friends actually. It's kind of interesting. Like we used to be so inundated in a
Yeah.
bubble.
Yeah.
And we're no longer in a bubble.
Mm.
Which kind of sounds crazy, but it's like, Hollywood is Hollywood. But
Yeah.
then now we are a part of the rest of the world in which where we're affected by everything. This was the place where it was like, when you think about escapism and creativity, this is the place that you come and you just escape from everything.
Yeah.
But now we're up against
Mm.
everything else too at the same time. So I think it's interesting that now we're navigating all of it just like
Yeah.
everybody else. So we're not untapped at this point.
We're not. I always felt like Los Angeles, California was really just that place. I get a little we're not like everyone else. Leave us alone. Our little world and all of the things. But I want to take you back, right? I love my show so much because I like to go back into things that we wrote and we're like, when did I say that? Hold on
Oh,
a minute. And the beautiful thing about this, again, nobody ever knows any of the questions that we talk about. And I want to take you back to July of 2024.
okay.
And you wrote something, and I would love to know, and I want everyone to see your face when I read this as well. And of all of our listeners, I'll let you know what his face looks like. You said on July 24th of 2024, we hit 1 million views
Hmm.
in less than 24 hours. We can't thank y'all enough. The distinguished trailer coming soon. Also, just a kid from Texas who went to Hollywood with a dream.
Hmm.
Now, as we're wrapping 2025, starting 2026, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that moment when you wrote that now?
It's crazy because it's one of those moments in time where it's like, oh my God, like I have never seen anything like this. I remember Jabbar Lewis, who plays Seven in the short film. um, we were like literally like watching, like as the numbers were just like we were refreshing it, it's da da da, da, and it's like,
Right,
oh my
right.
God, it's like this is like really happening. And the crazy thing about it was we had just dropped a 3 second clip, like one of the biggest moments in the short film, just to kind of get a reaction, see what everybody, would think.
Yeah.
And if this was like, what the vibe was, with people really gravitating to, sci-fi fantasy, and of course, like,
Mhm.
black. And it went crazy.
See?
And in that moment, for me, it all felt validated, uh,
Okay.
just because of the work, the sacrifice, everything that has come along with this journey. And a lot of times when we think about, coming to Los Angeles or coming to Hollywood to pursue our dreams, a lot of times we have ideas of what that looked like.
Yeah.
But in terms of what God takes you through, in terms of testimony and the things that you
Mm-hmm.
have to endure.
Yep.
So this moment for me was so significant. And it was just like, okay, I felt like, you know, kind of like in a divorce product, I finally did something right, you know.
Finally did something right.
So it felt so good because it was like I'm at a place where I'm telling authentic stories for myself,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Rather than just simply listening to what everybody else is saying, that you have to do this and you have to do that. And yeah, sure, that's typical, but at the same time, the desire is like, what do I want?
Yeah.
What are my dreams? And sure, coming out to Hollywood, like people dream of being writers, people dream of being directors, people dream of everything.
Mhm.
But within that dream, are you losing the things that you really had, set sight for yourself?
Mhm.
And so seeing that for me was just like, okay, I finally did something right. I finally like listened to what I wanted and I did it. And that showed up, and community showed up, which was,
I was gonna say community fully showed up for you.
yeah, community showed up far and wide. And I was like, this was again another moment to be like, okay, when you are your most authentic self, it's visible. You don't
Yep.
have to do anything else, like it's enough,
It,
because the energy is felt. It's real. Yeah.
well, no, and I think of just all of the things that you have done and this rollout that you did and how the response was. And I read a lot of comments, on the YouTube and how a lot of people finally felt seen and kind of have read a story and saw a story that they can now finally see themselves in when it comes to an action and a thriller and a drama and all of the things that sometimes
Right.
that we don't see ourselves. But I think for me, it's about going back, right? And when you think back growing up in Texas
Hmm.
and you think of the moments in the life lessons that you kind of experience, what is one of those moments in your childhood that kind of shaped how you see the world today? And is there something that you just didn't realize that was kind of formative until later on in your life?
You know what? I have to say I was blessed, with an amazing mother who raised me, and she never not allowed me to be creative. I
Yeah.
was always able to express myself. But this is always funny. We laugh about it now, hence because of the project. But I used to make magic potions. And I used to get in trouble for doing so because, of course, like growing up,
We're making magic potions, are they? Wait,
listen, getting a little bit of lotion, a little bit of baby oil. I shouldn't talk about baby oil, but you get the point. Mixing all the things, and
she's
I
like, "Are you about to blow my house up? What is
listen.
what?"
What
She's like, "What in the Dexter's laboratory is happening here?"
What exactly?
Yeah.
And I used to get in trouble for that. But in those moments, like you're growing up in a Baptist household, so it's like that was one thing. But
Yeah.
also the crazy thing when I think about this too is like she would slip me like the Harry Potter book. She'd be like, so it was kind of like
Oh, she knew.
she was feeding into the creativity
Was.
of what was, being manifested and built at such a young
Yep.
age at the same
Yeah.
time. So I'm appreciative for my mom allowing me to express myself in every way, shape, form, that, has allowed me to just simply say, okay, I don't have to go out and do things that I don't need to do, kind of situation.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, so I've been blessed to have her, by my side. through this process and, and especially like growing up to be able to express myself. So I don't have any quorums there. Um, but yeah, so what was the second part?
No, no, no. When I was just thinking, when you think of just any of the formative things that you could have changed or things that you could have learned, right, when you were a kid. Because I think as you were talking about that, I was thinking about just besides the Harry Potter books, though, that your mom had provided you. Are there any early signs that storytelling was kind of like your language, right? And or did it kind of reveal itself through you slowly, kind of over time?
I was always okay. Here's the thing. So I originally always wanted to go to school and be a doctor. That was the
Well,
thing. Yeah. So I wanted to be an anesthesiologist. Crazy, right? Fun. But on the back end of that too, so growing up again, imagination wild. I used to create things like if I didn't have something, I would always kind of create it. Like this is gonna sound so crazy. Like I would get down on the floor.
okay.
And I would like build out like if I had like a cardboard box or something like that, I would make a bus. I would pretend that I'm like driving a bus picking up kids. Like I would just always kind of
You were
like,
always creating something.
right, I'm just always creating something, but it was like my imagination was so free. But also at the same time, when we think about, growing up, it was one of those things like sure we had games and things like that too, but we also were able to go outside.
Yeah.
Mama said, be in the house, don't
Before
touch
the
it.
light could listen.
Okay. So basically, I had all of that. So that really molded me to just have like this wild imagination. And I still have one. Sometimes I have to be like, okay, you got to reel this in.
He's
Like,
like, sir, dial it
right,
back.
can we finish one thing?
Right.
Like, get one done, and then we can move on to the next. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think I've always just had like a natural like instinct to just create the world that I've always wanted to be in that moment,
Come on.
creating rocket ships, kinds of stuff, lay the chair back on the floor, get like all that stuff, so I really appreciated our childhood. Like growing
Mean, I'm
up.
just saying, really, because honestly, when you think about it, and I was thinking about something that where you were talking. A lot of the kids aren't outside right now, right?
No.
Like they don't know the concept of what it really meant and felt like to be creative without this and this all day, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Out, you know, not to be, something I've always talked about is community, but it was all about community at that time, right? It was who were your neighbors and who were
I
the
was gonna
people in
say your neighbors, you knew your
your
neighbors, you knew the kids, you knew
yeah, you knew the parents.
the
The parents knew
dog.
the parents, the dog, and all who was sleeping with whoever in the neighborhood. All of the things. But no, I think as you continue to build, though, you were able to find your voice, right? And you often speak about the power of kind of unified voices.
Right.
And when did you first understand that your voice really had weight? And I love that because sometimes people don't realize that their voice have weight. I know mine does, but not just weight, but creatively and culturally weight.
You know, it's interesting. That's a great question. Because for a long time I didn't know. And when I say that is because when I do just because that's what I'm feeling,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And the after it's said and done in terms of what that feel is and what I've created, hence create the writer's room, I was like, this is what I desire, right?
yeah,
But within that desire that I have for myself, whoa, like so many other people
yep,
wanted that exact same thing. And so it's just like, so when I do that, it's just simply out of a place of pureness. Like, this is just what I
yeah.
desire.
You're like, this is what I've been doing. What are you
Yeah,
talking about? Yeah,
so it's just, but again, it's when I first started Create the Writers Room way back in 2018, we started it at Waco Theater. In terms that's where I was hosting it like all the time. And so grateful for Miss Tina and them like opened up the doors
yeah,
for me to do that there. And when I tell you we had like 200 people show up the first go round, I was like, oh my God, this is insane. And then it just kept growing, just kept growing, kept growing. And so to your point about like weight in terms of people listening and people, hearing what I have to say, on a community level, I think I didn't really understand the magnitude of that. And
uh,
and I'm still like, processing that and still learning how to utilize that too at the same time to the best of
hmm.
ability without doing too much, if that makes
But let me. It does, but also let me add on to what you just said, though, right? how did you learn to trust your voice in rooms that kind of weren't built for us in mind, right?
Mhm,
Or
mhm.
people of color in mind? How would
Right.
you trust that voice?
Um, Again, I think it came from a place of lack, right?
Yeah.
So when you're lacking something, you figure out how do you best, again, going back to creating moments.
Mm-hmm.
We don't necessarily have a lot of black astronauts. We don't necessarily have a lot of black doctors. We don't
Yeah.
necessarily have a lot of black anything,
Hmm.
right? Because there's always something in the way,
Yeah.
that makes it harder. So with that, it was just me saying, okay, I just need to create a space in terms of what I see again and what I desire and what I would love to have happen for our community and see who shows up.
Yeah.
And that's just really where it all stems from. And when I think about the weight of my voice and when I think about what people are listening to, I had to start being honest with myself too at the same time and telling myself, like, no, you are this,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And of course, like there's this whole thing about imposter syndrome,
Right.
and I still suffer from it sometimes.
Do you a
But
little bit? You like just a little bit.
yeah, yeah, just a tinge. I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say that I didn't,
Oh,
because it's
yeah.
just one of the it's real,
It
because
is
sometimes
real.
you
It
find
is real.
yourself in places and spaces that you're like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
I didn't think that I could get here. I didn't think that I had access to this.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of there's this thing where, of course Nike says just do it, but also other people say, just, basically just start, right? When you just start and you just keep going, it's
Yep.
almost like being in the gym. You condition yourself, and as you condition, things start to
Right.
change and
Still.
maybe
Yeah.
correct. So yeah.
I think about as I have built this platform for the last 5 years and all of the things and other creatives and people that I meet, I'm glad that you just said that because I just went to the American Black Film Festival pop up here in Los Angeles and
Mhm.
listening to a lot of the conversations from panelists, it was just about telling people to start. And even if you stop, keep
Mhm.
going and figuring it out and betting on yourself. And they kept telling me that they were like, Jameer, you keep betting on yourself. But also there were some things that I also had to do, which is unlearn some things. For you, what did you have to unlearn about yourself in order to fully kind of step into your power as a creator?
Yeah. Number one, when we think about imposter syndrome, that was one thing. I belong. That was the first step. But
Yeah.
also too, it was funny. So I'll take us back for a second. So when I first moved to LA 18 years ago now, there was an agent that was interested in signing me at an agency. And one of the things that she said to me, she said, "You're too nice." And I was like, really? And she's like, no, you're great, but you're just too nice. It's the Texan in you, it's that
Right.
it's the good Southern values. And she was like, you're gonna have to like toughen up. And so, within toughening up, what did that mean for me,
Yeah.
right? How did that look for me? And that meant that I had to stop thinking about everybody else's opinion, right? Because everybody else's opinion is not doing what they're not financing anything that I have going on. They're
Yeah.
not taking care of anything pertaining to my life.
Oh,
So I have to stop thinking about what everybody else is going to say about me because at the end of the
mhm.
day, when you just do, people still going to have an opinion regardless,
Absolutely.
right? And a
Absolutely.
lot of times people's opinions are envy. So, um,
There was a beautiful leap though from Texas though. Texas to Hollywood.
listen,
I don't ever get too real on this show, but
listen,
I
I'm
mean,
gonna talk about it.
I will say this, and this is, I think that you try to take me, the man is taking me off script, y'all. It's not me. It's not me. I'll say this. Somebody asked me something even earlier today, right, about Los Angeles and Hollywood and the grind. And I always like to marry LA and New York a lot, right?
Mm.
Because I cannot believe I'm having this conversation with you. So someone asked me, they were like, Jameer, how did you get to LA and kind of just make it, right? And for me, my make it is totally different than everyone else's. Definition of what making it meant. Mine was being a part of the Television Academy and being a part of the National Association of Black Journalism and having my own show and being on the radio, right? And I'm good. But to your point, that imposter syndrome was like, well, we got some more things we want to help put you in those rooms.
Mhm.
And I had to realize that I was meant to be in those rooms because I did the work. And so, to your point, I've realized most recently that there are a lot of jealous people that don't really understand how did RD get to this place of 200 people on his first event, and how is he creating these rooms and all of the things. And, I think to your point, I want to say I'm proud of you. I really am,
Thank
because you've really created rooms for people to see themselves that have not seen themselves, to put their work out there, to say, these studios or these festivals or whomever never have seen my work. I want to thank you for that, because so many people have written into the show and even talked about you, not even knowing, that you were
you.
going to be on our show, that, oh my God, I felt seen, or I saw community at one of your events. So I just want to say thank you for that. And there are some jealous folks out there in these streets. But I'm gonna move on. The leap though from Texas to Hollywood, really was a full representation for you. And what did Hollywood represent to you when you first left Texas, and how has that kind of definition? Is you said 13 or 18 years? How
18, yeah.
almost? Oh my God! How
Yeah.
did the evolution kind of like change since you've arrived in LA?
In terms of what it looks like now, or just me personally?
I want to say you personally.
I would say that I'm stronger than what I was.
Mm,
So it was one of those things again, and just to kind of go back what the agent was talking about, you're too nice. It wasn't that I was too nice. It was just that I didn't know how to maneuver here yet, right? And
mm,
so now that I have grown into myself, I know my voice, like I think LA is a place that really truly raised me to be someone that is, I mean, I wouldn't say that I would take no in Texas, but I feel like I would be a little bit more passive there than I would be here kind of
yeah.
situation. So I've appreciated how LA has really like molded me to be a person of like assertion, like this is
Hmm.
what you want, this is what you
Yeah.
go do, this is how you're gonna do it, this is how you're gonna get it. So I appreciate that, but that also correlates to my personal life too at the same time when it comes down to like family, when it comes down to like showing up and things
Yeah.
like that too. So it's LA has taught me a lot. And I would be lying to say if I didn't appreciate this place. I remember my first 2 years here. I didn't like it.
Really?
No, I did not.
A lot of people, and I'm from the South also, a lot of people always say that.
Yeah, I did
Me,
not
I
like
was like, I ain't going nowhere. I'm good.
I
No.
didn't like it. I think because I was a slow burn. And what I mean by that is like I didn't adjust to the atmosphere of how people were and
Uh,
understanding like, what's real and what's not real. So, it was, hence why we
RD,
talk
we're not going
about,
to have that type of conversation today. No, buddy.
hence why we say LA is a bubble. So it's
Yeah,
like, having to have discernment too at the same time,
you
but
do.
also knowing how to compartmentalize things too, at the end of the
Yeah.
day. And there's nothing wrong. I honestly had to have this conversation with myself. Like I was talking about this with a friend a couple of days ago in terms of compartmentalizing. Like there's nothing wrong with
Mm,
compartmentalizing like relationships
yes.
because every relationship does, play a role or a place and a space into something, but it doesn't mean that it plays it has space for you every day.
Exactly.
So you have to be able to distinguish, clock it, what is,
No pun intended, but all the puns are intended.
you have to be able to distinguish what is of value for each moment.
Yeah.
So, and I have to do that. And that's real because I have to understand, like, I'm pretty sure people do that to me, and I have to respect it. It's like at the end of the day, like, sure, you see me in this light, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So it's
That's,
like, and there's nothing wrong with that. I
mm.
just have to know that that's what it is, and I have to do it for myself. That keeps me from going crazy because,
Listen,
like,
that keeps a lot of people from going crazy. No, it does. Because I think, and there are times that we grow out of these relationships from people too,
right,
right? And I've had to say this for, oh my God, the last couple of years, is that even though I've been friends with a lot of our friends for decades, that decade was fine for what it
right,
was for. And we learned and enjoyed that space Now we no longer are involved in those spaces anymore, and that's okay, you
Right.
know. So let's keep moving. But I want to do something different with you because there were a lot of questions and people that have wanted to slide in your DM and ask questions about you and the organization and all of the things, right? First question comes from Chris. Chris is out of Atlanta, Georgia. He says, "RD, what is the hardest truth you had to confront once the dream became real?"
That you can't stop working, meaning that
Ooh,
so when everyone looks at, okay, I had posted something too. It's like when all of I think I said this like maybe a couple weeks ago, basically like when all the noise stops,
mm,
when the round of applause goes quiet, you're still working,
absolutely.
right? And I think it wouldn't be crazy to me to kind of go as far as like saying like, you know, I know people see it. I know people see me. I know
Yeah.
people reach out to me. I know all these things. But the work doesn't stop because I feel like it's going to push you even further because it's like once you finally climb to a certain level, they want to see how much further you can go, right?
So
They
you didn't want to
push
go.
you and they going to push you and
Yes.
they're going to push you. And it's one of those things like it just doesn't stop if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I think I had to come to reality. Well, in my brain, it's one of those things where they tell you it's almost like an audition,
Hmm.
right? It's like, oh, you just need to book before you can get this guest star for the most part, right? You need
Yeah.
to go ahead and book this under five. And then, then you get a day player, then you get a co-star, and then you get a
Mhm.
guest, right? And
Well,
so it's just kind of like you just keep
yeah.
leveling up. And so same principle here, where it's like, at the end of the day, yes, create something. I
Yeah.
created something. I thought it was going to be, which is amazing,
Yeah.
but I thought it was going to be like this, you know, big bang of a moment. And it was, but
It was.
also the work, I haven't stopped because I'm still
Yeah.
pushing. And that's just how this industry kind of goes. So I think that was my lesson is like, yeah, mm,
Yeah. Well,
under,
and I think also to your point, even though the industry and people will always continue to push us, we continue to push ourselves because we're
right.
always looking at our left and right saying, gosh, okay, they're doing that. Maybe I need to switch this and tweak this and make this happen differently. But what you've done and created and what you continue to create is magic. And I love to use that word magic when it comes to you.
Thank you.
The next question comes from Lisa, and Lisa is out of Los Angeles. I like this question because it reminds me a lot of how I show up as a mentor and the people that mentored me.
Mm.
Who showed up for you, RD, in your early journey, and how did community play a role in keeping you grounded?
You know what? So I don't tell this story too often, but one of my best friends, um, her mother in my hardest times, just like processing things, she was like, always would say, your lowest lows are going to be really low, and your highest highs are going to be your highest highs.
Yeah,
And with that, like I appreciated that because just I'm not gonna say who they are, but like just because of who they are
yeah,
in industry and what they represent and all that stuff. And when she shared with me like their climb, the things that they had to endure,
yeah.
I took that to heart in a way in which where it was like, no, this is real just because it's like I'm crying. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. And it's like I quit. And but no one is exempt,
No.
right? No one is exempt. And so I would say like I appreciated, my best friend's mom and her family like coming to, my defense in my moments of weeping. And community too at the same time. Like, you know, just going through life moments and experiencing certain things, those that I can confide in, those that I could be honest with in totality, right? And vice versa. Um, just being like, close the laptop, put
Mm,
it down, let's go to the beach, or let's just go watch a movie, or let's just do something, or matter of fact, let's not do nothing.
let's not do nothing.
Let's not do nothing, and that's fine. Let's go just grab a ice cream and walk. And if you want to talk, talk. If you don't want to talk, you don't have to talk,
Yeah.
you know? So, and that's like close-knit community at the same time. So I think, having my best friend's family a part of my journey and reminding me that I'm not exempt,
We're
okay?
exempt. You're not
You
exempt.
know,
None of us are exempt.
you're gonna right, you're gonna go through these things,
Yeah,
but then also having people that I love and adore tell me, take a moment,
yeah.
breathe, because when I think about also all the things that I do, whoo, I'd be like, child, there's not enough time in the day, just in the sense of, create the writer's room and then my own stuff, when it comes down to the distinguished. And so, yeah, it's just like you need people to remind you, number one, that it takes time, but
Yeah.
so at the same token, you need people to also remind you to breathe.
You do. I've always learned to just take a beat. So, if you guys are just joining us, we have the amazing and creative founder of Written in Color, RD Castleberry, is in the building. And I love when people throw me this little alley because it's like you guys already know my questions. I want to now get into creating the distinguished.
Yes.
I'm going deep with this because there were so many questions. Look, guys, he lights up when we talk about it's crazy.
I'm like, where we going?
Where
No.
we going with this? What's going on? But what I love about this is that there have been so many fans and so many people that have absolutely loved the Distinguished, and the project I think is such a masterful piece that was needed for the industry, and so many people have said the same. So, what if I told you that creating a universe where Black people have powers is itself an act of resistance?
Mm.
When did that idea take root for you?
The idea came in 2020.
Okay.
So it's funny, I had how can I say this? I had a one pager, basically, just an idea of
Yep.
what this was and when the time frame and what these people were, and that was it. That's all I had at the time. And I was in the middle. I had a show that I was doing, and Gabrielle Union was attached to produce. No one knows this. I haven't shared this really.
Come on,
And,
exclusive.
huh?
I was like, come on, exclusive. I love
Oh, yes, listen, right? So we were out pitching to studios the show. And basically, one of the studios passed on or whatever, but they circled back and they're like, "We really want to talk to you." And I was like, "All right." And so, my manager too, like once they talked to him and stuff like that, they're like, "What else, do you have?" And so, these were, in terms of basically like a pitch deck to a certain extent, I had like these different projects that, basically ideas,
Yeah.
and this was one of them, that was on there. And they told me, like, we love it. And so I was like, well, I need money to make it. Like, I can't, like, like not make this happen or whatever. So, anyways, long story short, it was in that moment that I realized, okay, just off of that one pager, like, people really gravitated because they haven't seen anything like it? And so from there, I just kind of like went to work. And so I gathered the team and we started like fleshing out all the fun stuff and things like that, and we got to it. But yeah, it was 2020 that it really lifted in a way where it was like, oh my God, like this is kind of fun. And then that studio that turned my other show down was like, this is awesome. And so that was just kind of like the catalyst of like power that I needed to just
Mm-hmm.
gonna make it.
Why was it important, though, for you to center Black people, not just as survivors, but as powerful, complex, and just really extraordinary beings?
Yeah, so ultimately again, it was one of those moments where I've always desired that when it comes down to
Yeah.
representation. When we think about, Harry Potter, love it down. But
Mm-hmm.
also when we think about like the characters that were there, we didn't see many like,
No.
black wizards or anything like that for the most part, right? You had some that were in class, but we didn't get those stories.
Right.
We didn't get like the full arcs that we would have loved to have gotten from them. And then also when I think about Lovecraft Country, like how big of an audience that was and how people were just so upset when that left.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I have an opportunity to really create something very unique, something that's powerful,
Mm-hmm.
something that's very me, something that I've always wanted. I've always wanted powers.
Right.
My other brothers and sisters wanted powers. What these powers would do, like if, and then thinking about it, like, oh my God, I love fashion. Fashion is fun. I was like, imagine putting these guys into
I
like,
was gonna say, have the people not seen your Instagram? Hello. I think we know you love that.
it's like we love a good, a good tailored suit on,
Yeah.
on our bodies, and then also to a lot of like that was influenced because of my grandmother. My grandmother was in fashion.
Uh,
And so that was a big thing. So like in the book, even though we won't get too far into all of that because we're still working through some things, but my grandmother's, I have her referenced in the book as a character by the name of Frankie, which that was actually her name too. But just in terms of like she's the one that designed the suits and like
oh
how they're so
wow.
tailored and just so like perfectly fitted and it's just like everything. And I think we light up a room when we show up.
We
Like when we think about the dandies and like all
yeah.
like, oh my God, like just we're amazing. And so I
Yeah.
wanted that to be reflected in the story that I was telling, and
Hmm.
then allow like the fashion in itself to be a story on its own too, when we think
Yeah.
about the fabrics and how things are woven and the intricacies of every stitch. Like
Hmm.
that's power,
No, it is.
you know?
And there's so much history around that, and just when you think of just the magic that you have kind of represented, and I really do highlight the magic. What does magic represent for the East River people in a spiritual and even a psychological sense?
So in a spiritual sense, when it comes down to the magic, it's protection,
Mm,
one component. But then also it is when we think about just like the psyche of it all too, it's a level of, well, I guess that's the same thing. Like as security, it
yeah.
is allowing me to know that I am free.
Right, right.
Okay.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah,
because again, when we think about power, it's just like it's currency,
it's current.
So yeah, that's a part of it.
Yeah. So I wanted to do something totally different with you because we had collected so many questions around this beautiful piece that you have created. And we have a lot of people that written into the show, and I just want to go there. So this one is called The Hero's Bloodline Plus the Birth of Seven.
Ooh, okay.
Listen, this is how we do over here. So this question comes from Tim. Tim is out of Atlanta, Georgia, and he says, Seven is a half-blood, a living contradiction, a bridge between worlds. The
Mhm.
question is, how does his existence challenge legacy and tradition?
I think with him being a half-blood, well, what I know,
I
uh,
was gonna say,
yes, because when I think about it, it's like, what I know about Seven and the fact that his father is one thing and his mother's another, right? And so ultimately, he is going to have to make a choice.
yeah,
And when we think, and that kind of comes back to good and evil.
yeah,
And what side is he going to choose, at the end of the day? Like, not saying that he's going to pick daddy or he's going to pick mama, but I think there's some discovery that, and I'm saying I think just based off of the fact when teasing for people to read the book when it comes, is, understanding who his mom really is too at the same time.
hmm hmm
So there's a lot of like journeying that Seven is going to go on.
yeah,
And when he put all the puzzle pieces together and he really understands his identity, hence in the short film, when he gets to the portal, when he's sitting in front of the guys or whatever,
mm,
that's a big decision. Am I going to
yeah,
cross? Am I going to, what's going to happen when I go on the other side? Do I want these powers? Is this the life that I want? So these are all the things that he's going to ask when he has to choose what side is he on?
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think when you talked about that, I immediately thought about his father, right? And his
Mhm.
father Eli kind of makes the ultimate sacrifice for love. Um, how do you explore the theme of forbidden love in any way that kind of honors Black family dynamics?
So, when we think about, let me caution this, like when we think about like families or how can I say it? How Black families that are not necessarily a mom and a father household like
Yeah,
together at one time, right? Typically they're like, oh, that's so typical. This is how it is.
yeah,
But ultimately within this moment, it's something that's very like when the reader is reading or when you watch the short film, that's very powerful here is that his dad actually never left him.
yeah.
Dad has always been by his side. The
Hmm.
dreams and the things that he's having. that's his father, like walking with him and talking these
Yep.
things through.
Through the-
Like, I'm
Yep.
here,
Yeah.
but I'm not in the physical with you, but I'm
Exactly. Yeah.
here, you know? And so I think that was important to show that, Black men, number one, they make sacrifices every day
Absolutely.
for their offspring, for their families to be the best that they
Yeah.
can possibly be. And I think it was important to show that level of sacrifice that ultimately at the end of the day, my love is unconditional and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that you're okay.
Yeah.
You know? And and the parallel side too, this is a little deep, but this is personal to me. What has happened with Seven and his father, or what's going to happen, is the
Mhm.
fact, he's under this impression that his dad is
Right.
dead, you
Yeah.
know? But for me in my personal life, I didn't grow up with my father like that. And so there's, moments and times where I've always wanted to reconcile the relationship and things like that, but it just didn't work. And
Okay.
so with that, it was like, how do I create a world and create characters that basically depict the things that I've always desired? I've
Yeah.
always wanted to have the relationship that Seven will
That's what. Yeah.
yeah, with his father. So it's like, but my dad in my head, there had to be a certain level of a death to kind
Yeah.
of over, some of the damage and things like that
Accountability is real.
right. So Seven, in terms of that experience, that moment with Eli and the things that he's going to go through with his mother is very much parallel to my life, but I tell it in a way where it's all the things that I wish that I ever had.
Chris out of Houston, Texas, said Seven's dreams act as portals through time and identity. Do you view destiny? I love this one. Do you view destiny as some pre written or something that is earned?
I think in Seven's case, again, I think, because y'all need to read the book when it comes. Um,
As you see, I'm like, I'm all together. I got
I, for him, his destiny is set, right?
mm,
But when we think about destiny, there's also roads,
yeah,
and challenges and things that will potentially set him back depending on which way he goes.
correct.
And ultimately, again, going back to him having to make certain choices will dictate what that destiny ends up
That
being.
is, yeah.
But there is a destiny, regardless of what door he goes through, there is a space that he
Yeah.
will end up.
Yeah. That, that,
So,
no, so this next space, you wrote Seven kind of discovering his truth, right? And you were writing, I know that you were writing in a particular way when it comes to a younger version of yourself and all of the things. This next section, I thought of it as villainy, power, and the price of ambition.
mm,
Um, these questions were beautiful because, you have a lot of women that actually follow your work as well. Tiffany out of DC, she says, now make sure I pronounce, is it Umbria?
yeah, Umbara.
Umbara, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Umbara seeks control of the East River, not just for survival, but for supremacy.
right.
Um, can you talk about the psychology of power within this story?
Yeah, again, I think I said it earlier, it's power is currency, right? And so when you can control or you have the power, you can manipulate and do things
Yeah.
you need to have done. Because
Yeah.
ultimately, at the end of the day, the water in itself, in terms of the East River, it is healing. It is it's necessary like for survival,
Mhm.
after the day. So it's like, of course, when we think about our bodies and things like that, we're more water than anything, right? So it's like we need that to survive. And so Umbara very much was like, trying to convince King Azandi ultimately, like, yo, like, let me, take control of this, right? It's kind of like that undercurrent because it's like, imagine if he gave
Yeah.
Umbara the power to say, okay, I'll let you control it. What you think he's going to do?
I was gonna say,
Right. So it's like he's about to come in and wreak some major havoc. And so ultimately, the psychology when it comes down to the water and the significance of that, if we can take control of the things that we know that people need,
yeah.
there's no stopping
There's
us.
no stopping
I
us.
mean, clearly, not to make this a political thing, but I mean, I think we're living in that world now.
Yeah, all day long. We could talk forever, but I want to get into what inspires you to create the writer's room. And I know you touched on it earlier, but for the people that have never heard of the writer's room or maybe have scrolled on social and have seen it, whatever, what made you want to create the writer's room?
Yeah, again, it was just about creating space where people could come together and discover something new,
Yeah,
and also discover people that they probably have never met. The other thing that, I pride myself on, every experience, every opportunity that I've ever had, I've always somehow found light, and people have always gravitated to my light. So like whether it be a meeting or whatever, they're like, "Oh my God, tell me more about you. What you have going on?" And I was like, "Well, if I'm meeting these people, then I should be introducing other people to them too." I think that's important because a lot of times people move to LA and everyone's asking, where do I start? How do I get connected to this studio executive? And it doesn't just work that way. But at the same time, there is a way in which where you can meet somebody
yeah,
and have a conversation with them and build an honest relationship that may turn into something that's business related. You just
yeah,
never know. But my thing was, I want to put together a place and a space where people can genuinely meet,
yeah.
connect, and grow.
That's it.
That's it.
Where do you see Seven's journey going next?
Well,
Or whatever you can tell us. I'll say that one.
yes, when he jumps through the portal, let's just say everybody's about to be on a major roller coaster.
It's about to be some smoke in the city, y'all.
Listen, it's an amazing story. But I will preface this, like, the book in itself, of course, the short film is the short film, and it's a derivative of what's written. But at the same time, when people finally get their hands on the book, my hope is that number one, they're going to experience all the other characters that are in there that I truly believe are identical to a lot of our personalities.
Absolutely. Many of our personnel.
Listen, a lot of our personalities, but there's a level of history that's within this sci-fi fantasy world too that's just going to be like, wait a minute. I didn't know like, because I mean, yeah, I'm telling a fictional story, but there are certain things within telling this fictional story that I just want to kind of add in layers of our truth and layers of our own real history,
Yeah,
that correlates to Seven's origin,
yeah.
his family's origin, all those things. So it's going to be a really fun history lesson, and just in terms of how they have become and all the magic and all the fighting. And
All the
yeah,
things.
it's layered, but it's layered in a way where I think people are going to be excited about it. And I'll leave with this last note too. Writing this is my first time ever writing a book, and having to find my voice in that too, because
Yeah,
naturally I'm a screenwriter, which is
it's
completely different from writing a novel.
totally different. Yeah,
And so with that and finding my voice within that space, I love how I write as an author, as a book writer. It's beautiful, it's poetic, it is
Mhm.
very much cinematic.
It is
So,
very cinematic.
so you're going on a journey, like, oh my God, like it's almost like you're reading a movie, not a movie script, but it's almost as if you're reading a movie, like you feel it, you're immersed in the world,
Yeah.
So it's like it's warm, it's a hug.
I was gonna say it's a hug. I've been talking a lot about a hug lately. As we get ready to wrap our show, I had recurated the end of the show, oh my gosh, 2 years ago, and it's now called the therapy session. And it's the first thing that comes to your mind. You don't have long to think, and it really just makes you think of your dreams, your fear, your growth, right? What's a big dream that you had since childhood?
Oh my goodness. Okay, it's crazy, but not really. A big dream would be, excuse me, having a countryside home
Oh,
with horses and sheep on
okay.
like a nice big piece of property and just minding my God dang on business.
I mean, and just being away from the folks, right?
Isn't it that I mean it's simple, it's so simple, but yeah, I've always dreamt of having land like that, like for real, for real. So yeah.
What is something that you are proud or grateful for right now?
Um, God keeping me, to be honest,
Yes.
like through the midst of it all. Like
Yeah.
listen, because whoo,
All of the things is all I
woo.
always keep saying. All of the things.
Listen, because a lot of times we don't look like what we've gone through, right? So
Mhm.
I have to count it all joy. So I'm blessed.
How do you handle big challenges or stress?
You know, um, I have to again. When moments of stress like really happens, I literally have to like dissect what can I do?
Yeah.
Like it's just one of those things like if I can't do something, I have to be like you can't, there's nothing that you can do and you just have to let it go. So I try to compartmentalize the stress and like depict or dissect, shall I say, what can I do now? What can I do next and what can I do later?
Yeah.
That's the only way through it. But I mean, ultimately, because stress is a killer. If you
It
stress too long, take you out.
it'll take you out. Last question. What makes you feel emotionally safe in a relationship?
Ooh. Hmm. Someone that I would have to say, dang, that's actually a really good one. Emotionally safe. Oof, child, that's you say I got much time. I'm thinking, listen, because that one got me a little hot over here. Um, Honestly, I think it would have to be someone that is they hear me, if that makes sense.
It
Um,
absolutely makes sense. Yeah.
and when I say hear me, it's not me having to talk. It's also like just being connected to my soul in a way where it's like I understand,
Yeah.
like I can say this. I'm an emotional person. Like that's just the reality for me,
Yeah.
and that's fine. That keeps me
That's okay.
very, artsy.
I would say it makes you very creative. Yeah.
It makes me very creative. So it's like someone hearing me and understanding those desires without me having to always articulate that. I guess that's an emotional connection for me. Yeah, I'm not overly complicated, but I can be complicated.
The writer's room, the distinguished,
Yeah,
uh, Houston, Texas, uh,
yeah.
Hollywood. You've accomplished a lot. You've done a lot for culture. You've done a lot for yourself. I think there's so many people that look back at you back in Texas, here in Hollywood, and they say, wow, I see someone that looks like me that is creating space for me. I want to start with just saying thank you.
Thank you. Mhm.
I always end the show with just with everything that you've accomplished, all of the things that you are building and really what you're leaving behind. What do you want your legacy to be?
Man, I think about this often now. I think for legacy, when it comes down to this world that I've created, it's immortalized something that can never be taken away,
Mhm.
right? And I think I really challenge people to kind of think about that. Like, what's something that people can never take away from you?
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean it has to be this. It can mean something completely, totally opposite. And
Mhm.
so for me, that's what I would want to leave the world behind with is like what I have immortalized myself with by saying that you can never take away my voice, you can never take away my art, you can never take away the things that I've created, hard work, just simply because this is what I truly desired. This is me. So yeah, that's the legacy that I want to leave behind is the work that I've created that's immortalized that will touch people beyond. And when they look and see that a black man created this, they'll be able to say other black boys and other black girls, anybody of color, anyone with a dream, it's possible.
And Dream. I appreciate you. I want everyone to make sure they follow you on Instagram at RD Castleberry. I want to make sure that they follow the Distinguished Short as well as written in color on Instagram. Any last words you want to leave with any of your new fans, followers, people that love you, all of the things? Any last words?
Yeah, I would just say let's make some noise, y'all. Like this is what it takes. Like when we rally together, we are completely undeniable, unstoppable.
Yeah.
We are the collective that can shift things, make things like whoa.
Yeah.
So let's own it.
I love it. As we always say on Power 97.5 LA, Power B 97.5 Vegas, iHeartRadio, and iGlobal Media, the JS Journals. Stay positive, but stay creative. Until next time, thank you guys for tuning in.